Hello, my friends. This is Legend Arma TV. It's good to see you. Brigid. Yep. Today, we will break down the third Redeemer, the current one, which is Brigid, in the battle called Tempering the Sword. We will go through the requirements, stats, the progression. I'll show you the gameplay. I'll show you all the special attacks, all the things that are hard and really dangerous in Brigid, and hopefully, by the end of the video, you'll be somewhat more confident with this really, really scary battle. Let's roll. Alright, requirements for Brigid. Now, Brigid has an attack cap of 40,000, and that's a lot, that's intimidating, but we'll have to get there. As for her critical and critical resistance caps, we would need 200 critical resistance to have the minimum 3% crit strikes on us, and 200 critical strike chance to have 50% chance to crit Brigid. Now, Brigid, just like every other Redeemer battle, you can do her 4 times a week. When it comes to the progression for Brigid, however, if we go to C and then Redeemer tab, go to the Tempering the Sword. If you remember from my previous videos, if you complete Sea of Reflection, you get 25% progression. You get 2% progression for Valor, which is Dark Side of the Moon. As for Brigid, since she is the current Redeemer, you only get 1% progression for each clear that you do. So it's naturally gonna take much more time to reach 100% and reach all these milestones, all these permanent stats that Brigid has. As for the what can you use, what cannot be used, please check my Sea of Reflection guide. In the first 7 minutes, I explain what items you can use in the Redeemer boats, what you can't use, and some other little details about it. This is pretty much it about the requirements and the stats. It's time to roll to the gameplay. Alright, let's break down Brigid. Now, unlike other Redeemers, like Valor or Nemain, Brigid only has 3 phases. But it doesn't necessarily mean that she's going to be easier than the previous ones, right? So let's look at all of her kit, what Brigid can do. This first and particular pattern is quite easy to deal with, mostly because the startup is quite slow, and I would say that on the first phase, this 3-hit attack is really good for sandbagging, because the delays between the attacks are, they're quite slow, it takes a lot of time, and Brigid is quite vulnerable during it. You only need to watch out for 3 strikes, but always keep in mind that most of the Brigid's patterns, they can have extensions. And the deeper you go into the phases, the stronger and the trickier they become. So they become enhanced, they become harder to deal with, and we will talk about it a little bit later. This pattern just 2 slashes before, and before that she does 2 teleportations. Watch very carefully. Whenever Brigid teleports, she teleports to a random person and does a very, very swift attack there. So be ready for each teleportation to dodge or block it. This right over here, just a backslash, like Nemain and Valor do. But the problem is, if you are running low defense, you might get hit there, and you might get hit there pretty badly. I'm running Dullahan armor, which I call paper armor, because it doesn't really have a lot of defense, so even the backslashes can be, they add up. The damage adds up. This right over here, as I said, the extensions, she does 3 hits and then a couple of other hits, and this is the first thing that we get to that is worth our attention. Brigid has 2 different patterns that involve Winged Tornado. One of them she does right over here at the end of one of her patterns, one of her combos. Now, this Winged Tornado, or Spin to Win, how people like to call it, it's a multi-hit, right? And you might get hit there multiple times in a short period of time, so whenever she finishes her combo and you see her starting doing the spin, please be careful. If you don't have a block that will, allow you to block all these multiple hits, just like I do right over here, just run away from it. Run away from it. Don't really bother. It's not worth taking so many hits right over there if you're not confident. And as I said, she does it back to back. One of them she does at the end of the combo, and the other one after a short preparation, after a short startup, she can just do the spin, the winged tornado, right away. Now, continue on. There are a lot of different patterns, a lot of different extensions that Brigid does. And one of the things that might be really dangerous for you, and not a lot of people actually know that, it's called the drill. Now, what does the drill do? So, in one of her combos, one of her extensions, Brigid can do her normal teleportations right over here. Let's watch it again. There is a teleport, 1/, another / right away, 2 thrusts, and after that, she can do the drill. Now, what's so dangerous about the drill? First of all, the hitbox, whenever she creates that drill, everything that is close to the hitbox of Brigid gonna get damaged, and you're gonna get damaged in multiple hits. So, and the initial strike, the initial drill strike right over there, you just saw it, it does an enormous amount of damage. On Dullahan, I think it crits for like 8 or 9k, which is pretty much almost all your health bar. So watch out for the drill, watch out for it. Whenever she does this particular pattern, make sure you stay away at the end, because the drill is so tricky. The hitbox is large, so I would just recommend to stay away from it. And make sure that whenever she does the initial strike, you don't spin around Brigid, making her spin, because she has a tracking on that drill, right? So whenever the last strike comes, she will hit you regardless where you're going, and it might kill some of your teammates who was not prepared for it. And that's it about the drill. Let's continue. Let's continue watching. See the patterns. Right over here, she sends a single fireball. This is an anti-range attack. It doesn't really hurt much, but she can actually spam that a lot if you have ranged characters like Chainblade Vela or Bokai, Crossgun Kais, who like to stay, far away from the target. This right here, this might be tricky. This slam and the shockwaves that she sends, watch out for it. Make sure you're blocking or just dodging away from it. The next thing that is tricky about Brigid, really dangerous as well, it's called Fire Blast. Now there is a startup for it. She creates these 3 runes, she draws them, and after a short delay, she sends all three of these runes become fireballs, and she combines them together and hit the target that she's targeting. Now, it might be a multi-hit, so watch out for it. Individually, they might not hit you that much, but 95% of the time, you receive like 3 hits at the same time from the Fire Blast. So whenever she's targeting someone with this, or you are the target, always keep in mind, don't spin around. Don't make Brigid spin around, because some of your teammates might not be prepared for it. They might be behind her, waiting, just sandbagging her and waiting to dodge and block whenever they need to. But you might kill them if you're just rolling around, 360. The next pattern, right over here. Let's go to the normal speed. After a short preparation, let's see, after this Fire Blast. Short preparation, she doesn't do anything. You can sandbag her. She raises her arm, and then she starts spinning around and just going different directions right over here, and super, super fast. If you are the target, you only need to worry about the first hit, right over here. Boom. Once you block and dodge it, just pay close attention where Brigid is, because she will start chaotically move around the place, around the arena. And usually she just flies away far, but depending on where people are standing, some of people might get hit there. So watch out for this particular combo. It's it might be quite deadly because there's a lot of hits. Let's watch it again. See, there's like 6 hits total. So you have to react to this, and you have to react quite fast. Now, one of the other patterns that Brigid does, and it might get tricky because it it requires you to have really good timing. Let's skip to this part right over here. This next pattern is called Meteor Strike. So she leaps into the air, she disappears, and she sends the meteors down random targets. After a short delay, right over here, the meteors might hit random players. So one meteor, for example, for me, the other one could be for Genji. We're doing with him right over here. And after she does 2 meteor strikes, she crashes down with her sword and then does a spin. So there is 2 attacks at the end. So watch out for them. Don't get too chill after the meteor strikes end, because it might be you might take a lot of damage. A spin to win right over here. If your block wasn't long enough, watch out. She does 1 final slash at the end of the spin. So be careful. Keep that in mind. One of the other things that Brigid does, and this has enhanced versions later on. This one is called Flamestrike. Now, Flamestrike, a startup right over here, and then she throws 3 time bombs. 3 time bombs, and they explode together 3 times after some delays. Don't be fooled here, okay? Because the hitbox of this Flamestrike is actually way more wide than you think it is, than it shows. So stay away from these and make sure they don't hit you, because everything in Brigid hurts like there is no tomorrow. Again, Meteor Strike, as you can see, she targets Genji, but at the end she crashes down on me. So you have to always be vigilant, always be prepared for it. This particular pattern, and she does it twice in the video, she does a slam with shockwaves, and then another slash with another shockwave. So be ready for it. 2 hits. As you can see right over here, Flamestrike, right? I wasn't even close to it, as it seems, but I got hit. So you have to watch out for it and stay as far as possible from this thing. And this is pretty much it when it comes to the first phase of Brigid. There is really not a lot of things that she does that possess a lot of threat. It's more like a practice phase, and it's really, really forgiving. So whenever Brigid drops to 8 bars, she transitions to the second phase. This is your opportunity to use your repair kits, repair your broken armor if you got hit a lot, chug a potion, and get ready. She transforms, she gains this really badass armor, and the second phase begins. So what happens whenever the phase transitions in Brigid? First of all, Brigid gains access to extra patterns or enhanced patterns. Actually, both of them. Also, her movement speed and attack speed drastically increase, so the pace of the battle becomes faster and faster and faster. So you have to react. The deeper you go into the battle, the faster you have to react to the things, to the patterns, to the special attacks that Brigid does. One of the other things that Brigid is known for, and that is really deadly during the second and third phase, it's called Heat of the Forge. So what does it do, and how does it get applied to you, right? Whenever Brigid does some of the patterns that involves her sword being, the flaming sword right over here, you can see it, the flames. If you get hit by one of these attacks, you're gonna get debuffed. So what happens here? Whenever you get hit, you get debuffed for 15 seconds, called the Heat of the Forge. What's so bad about Heat of the Forge? The debuff drastically increases the amount of stamina you're gonna consume by any movement, any attacks, any performance. So if you got hit by the debuff, you're gonna drain your stamina by just blinking or dashing around in seconds. It depletes almost instantly. So watch out for it. Watch out for the flaming attacks. They are extremely dangerous. Make sure you don't get hit by the debuff. The next thing on the list, right over here, this particular pattern is called Winged Ambush, a green one. What do you need to do? Whenever Brigid teleports, she appears in front of the target that she chooses and does this single slash. What do you need to do right over here? Dodge to the right. If you're the target, dodge to the right, and you will be safe. If you get hit by this green attack, all your armor is going to be shattered. So you're naturally going to have way less defense. So the damage that you're going to receive from the patterns of Brigid are going to be huge. So watch out for this. Just dodge to the right if you're the target. If you're not the target, just watch where your teammates are, who Brigid is targeting, and dodge accordingly from her, okay? The other pattern, right over here, it's called Flaming Boomerang. And you might think it's not a big of a deal, but it is. So after a preparation, she taunts you with her hand, and then she starts attacking you with a couple of flaming sword hits that can debuff you. Then does it pierce? She thrusts towards you, and at the end of the combo, she does the boomerang right over here. Boom! She tosses her sword. This hit is a multi-hit, and if you don't block it, and the connection might be just slightly unstable, you might get one-shotted there. And Brigid is known for a lot of multi-hits that, possess just one shot. And it doesn't really matter what kind of armor you're sporting, because the multi-hits, they're probably going to kill you regardless. If you just get hit like 5-6 times in just a span of 0.1 second. So it doesn't matter, Dullahan, Astera, Militian armor, any amount of defense you have, the chances that you're going to get one shot are quite high there. Next, a pattern that I wanted to talk about that is worth our attention is called the Sword Toss. Right over here. And watch closely what she does. She throws her sword, right? That hit is almost impossible to react to. So if you're in melee, the chances that you're going to get hit are super high. So watch out for it. After she tosses her sword into the air, it crashes down on the floor, releasing a shockwave. So you better just make sure you dodge that and don't get hit. And she continues with another combo, a flaming sword combo that leaves a debuff on you. Watch out for it. The first hit, just make sure you don't get hit by that thing. Okay? And we are slowly getting to the point where Brigid, and she can do it so many times, it's not even funny. This is called Brigid's one-hit KO, Piercing Sword, right over here. The startup is very fast, and it is quite similar to Nimane's Lunge attack, but the thing is, Unlike Nimane, Brigid's one-hit piercing sword has it's not forgiving. The hitbox is not forgiving at all. Let's watch it again, right over here. What she does. After a very small preparation, she leans back a little bit, spreads her wings, flashes red, and then whenever she targets you, she's gonna go towards you. She has a very, very weird tracking right over here, so the timing during this particular pattern is very strict. So what do you need to keep in mind? If you're too close to Brigid, make sure when she's spreading the wings, you dash backwards towards the screen and then dash to the side. If you have like a double blink or double dash, it's going to be easier, but you have to always make sure that you do the dash to the side whenever she already started flying, because she loses the tracking once she starts flying, not before it. And just dodge to the side and make sure you don't get hit by this thing. This particular KO gets almost unreal to dodge if Brigid is pinned against the wall, because the startup, whenever she leans back a little bit, it actually buys you some time to react. But when she is against the wall, she doesn't move at all, and if you're like in front of her in melee, there is literally no chance, unless you true iframe through it, that you're gonna be able to dash through, dash away from the KO. So make sure that you're dodging to the side whenever she started lunging. The hitbox is huge, and the amount of times you might get KO'd by this thing is very high. And you know, myself, I get caught by it many times, still in Brigid, but it's all about the reaction and the timing over there. Alright, well, let's continue watching what Brigid does. Here, just a combo with a flaming sword. Remember the debuff, make sure you don't get debuffed, and then she sends a shockwave, leaps into the air, and crashes down with a huge shockwave. Make sure you're dodging or blocking. Again, winged ambush, the green one. Dodge to the right whenever she appears in front of you. And as you can see, the sword toss pattern right over here, I was in melee and there was no chance I could possibly just react to this because it's so fast. It's lightning fast. So watch out. I took an unnecessary hit there, and yeah, I paid for it, and I paid a lot of hell for it. One of the other things, when it comes to enhanced attacks, is Flamestrike again. But unlike the first phase, in the second phase, whenever Brigid does the Flamestrike, she leaves 5 time bombs that explode 3 times in a span of a couple of seconds. So watch out for it. Remember that the hitbox is quite weird there, and don't get hit by that. Just run away from it. You can dodge it, or you can block through it, but I would rather not risk it. The sword toss, again, I got hit. This is really tricky to react to. And once again, the Flamestrike. Also the anti-range, you can see it here. And then the teleportations she does. She doesn't do the drill, she doesn't do the winged tornado anymore, so don't worry about it much. But she gains quite some new patterns and enhancements to her attacks. Boom, the Boomerang, and I was lucky I got hit there only once. Usually, and during this duo, you're probably not gonna see it, but I get one-shotted by that thing, by the Boomerang. So it's really dangerous, really deadly. But then again, everything in Brigid is deadly. So yeah, this this battle is crazy. Continue attacking Brigid. Continue depleting her health. In the video, I'm desperately trying to revive Genji right over here. And as you can see, failing miserably. I got hit by the anti-range. And here is one of the tricky things that people suffer and struggle with. Brigid has a cooldown on this particular pattern, and she can do it on the second and third phases. This one is called Rain of Fire. Rain of Fire is something similar to Gates of Babylon or Lava Walls in Nimane and Balor accordingly. This is all about the timing and making sure that you stay alive during it. So you just have to survive this phase. So this preparation starts. You can send back Brigid if you're in the middle before she leaps into the air. So take your time to send back her. Once she leaps and you gain control of your character, well, the camera comes back to you, right? You gain the control of the camera of your character. You have 4 seconds to position yourself. Now, if you look into the minimap right over here, you can imagine that the arena is like a clock. So it's 3, 6, 9, and 12 o'clock. I usually go to the 12 o'clock on the minimap and dodge from here. So what do? You have 4 seconds to position yourself at 12 o'clock. I'll show you like how I usually do it because I find it comfortable for myself. Right over here, my camera faces the middle of the arena. And it starts. After 4 seconds, the first shockwave begins. And this is something that people are usually get hit by because they don't have the sense of the timing right here. 4 seconds. Whenever the camera gets back to you, count 4 seconds while you're running towards your position, while you're positioning yourself, and get ready to dodge. And if you have a block, it's even better. So 4 seconds, and she does the first hit right over here. Now, Brigid does it 9 times. There's going to be 9 strikes that you have to dodge or block. So what's the indicator for this thing? You see these red circles in front of me? They appear twice, and after 1 second, barely 1 second, there is an explosion. So basically, you're just standing there, you're waiting for this double red explosion, and then count 1 second and do the dodge. And you're dodging or blocking the explosion. And repeat that 9 times. So it's all about the timing here, and you just have to, like what I do, I just watch these explosions, so I know exactly where I need to dodge. So whenever these red circles disappear, you just take 1 second, or maybe less than 1 second, and then dodge and block. And you will survive this. And you have to do it 9 times before it ends. Right over here, let's watch it in real time again. 2 explosions, a little delay, dodge. 2 explosions, delay, dodge. 2 explosions, delay, dodge. And just repeat it until it's over. Until you will see her in the middle, she will land back, and you can continue the fight. Here, I finally revived Genji. I love you, my man. Thanks for doing this duel with me. And you continue. You continue fighting Brigid over here. One of the other things that I wanted to talk to is one of the enhancements to her regular patterns that to the regular pattern that she did in the first phase. And if you remember, it's called Meteor Strike. Right over here. She leaps into the air. She does these meteors. Do you remember them? She does them 3 times in the second phase. And she does it again. At random, she targets random people with the meteors and then crashes down on one of the person with a sword hit and then a spin. And one of the last things that I wanted to talk about during the second phase, this one is called Armor Shattering Lunge. Let's watch it. Let's slow down a little bit here. Watch carefully. So the startup to this thing is just like Brigid's one-hit KO, the piercing sword. Right over here, she spreads her wings and then charges, but instead of the red, she's glowing green. What's the difference? Well, first of all, the hitbox and the timing is way more forgiving than during the KO. So your mindset should be just like it should be the same, just like during the one-hit KO. Dodge to the side. Watch wait for her to start lunging and then dodge to the side. She's way slower, the hitbox is way less, way smaller, and you have a lot of time to dodge. If you get hit by this attack, all your armor is going to be shattered once again. So just like the winged ambush, the green one, these green attacks, 2 types of green attacks, they completely destroy your armor. Your armor becomes red, which results in less critical resistance, less defense, and you might suffer big time after if all of your armor is shattered, because you're going to be naturally weaker on the defense. And this is pretty much it for the second phase. We pretty much saw all of her patterns that she does, all of the special attacks that you have to watch out for. As you remember, watch out for the Flaming Sword. It leaves the debuff on you. The Meteor Strike right over here. She was targeting me at the end, so I was ready for it. 1, 2, and then 3, and then she crashes and does a spin. Watch out for it. The Flaming Sword again, and then the Shockwave and another Shockwave. These are, all these patterns are quite deadly. The Lunge. Remember to dodge to the side. Wait for her to start flying. And just continue DPSing Brigid. Keep in mind all the patterns that we looked into. And keep in mind that Brigid naturally gains more attack speed and movement speed the further the phases she goes. So on the second phase, she's naturally faster. When Brigid drops to 5 bars, she will instantly transition to the third and final phase. This is where she gets rid of all her armor. I don't know what's the reasoning behind it, but yeah, welcome to Vindictus. Oh boy. Well, here we go. The last phase, the third phase, from 5 to 1 bar. Here's what's happening during the last third phase. Brigid gains even more attack speed. She starts attacking relentlessly. There is almost no recovery after all of her patterns, so it might feel like that she never stops to attack. Like she's constantly attacking you. So you have to be prepared for all the patterns that are coming. She gains more extensions, more enhanced attacks, and some special attacks that we will talk about right now. First thing that we're going to talk about at the start of the phase, right over here, this first pattern that she does in my video. Let's slow it down. This is called Blazing Assault. So what's happening here? If you are in melee, she creates these swords that spin around her. These might hit you right away if you're in melee. Then she sends them different directions. And then she releases a shockwave and starts this Blazing Assault. These explosions are following the target that she's targeting. So watch out for it, dodge and block, and at the end of this particular combo, she leaps to the target and tries to hit it with her wings. Now, Brigid's hitbox is naturally quite huge, so take it to your advantage. You don't need to stand super melee to her, because as I said, the hitbox is quite huge thanks to her wings, so you can actually attack while standing mid-range from her to make sure that you are avoiding unnecessary hits. And the other thing that is happening during the last phase is called Unbearable Heat. So after certain patterns that Brigid does, at the end she glows red. She gains this red aura temporarily. If you're standing close to her and you don't block it, you're gonna get debuffed by the heat of the forge, and your stamina is gonna deplete almost instantly, and you're gonna suffer, so you have to wait out on the debuff. So watch out for it. All of her, as I said, most of her patterns that she does, at the end of them, she glows red right over here. And the hitbox is quite weird, so I don't really suggest to try to block it, because it might be wonky and you might get you know, you might get debuffed and you don't need it because you're losing DPS and actually putting yourself in a very, very dangerous position of dying. So please make sure whenever, like what I do on the last phase of Brigid, whenever she finishes one of her patterns, I actually take my distance a little bit just to make sure I don't get hit by the debuff. She only has certain patterns that end up with Unbearable Heat, so just pay close attention to what's happening, and you know, I would rather play safe here and just dodge away from it, okay? Right over here, she sends a lot of shockwaves. This, right over here, is what it's called Brigid's one-hit KO Winged Strike, and I paid for it right over here. And we will talk about it a little bit later, after one more pattern that I wanted to talk about. It should be right over here. After this pattern, right over here. As you can see, she did her pattern. She does the shockwave, then she jumps a little bit and then sends another shockwave, and then she has this Unbearable Heat aura around her. So watch out whenever she glows red. Make sure you're not standing in melee, and if you don't have a block, just run away from her. One of the other things that is quite tricky in Brigid is called Fiery Cascade. So what exactly happens here? And I must say, this is one of the best sandbagging opportunities that you might have, but you actually have to be really confident here. After a very long startup, right over here, she's charging her sword. She thrusts her sword into the ground. This initial hit, block it. Block or dodge it. Make sure that you don't get hit by the initial hit. She starts spawning this cascade of fireballs that are just going down on the ground. If you watch closely, there are these little dark spots, black spots on the ground. That's where the meteors are gonna crash down, right? So watch out for it. And whenever she does it, you can actually freely sandbag her, but you have to always make sure that whenever... it's not too easy to actually track down these little black circles on the ground to see to determine whether where the meteors are gonna drop down, and continue sandbagging her. After that, she leaps into the air, and after a delay, she sends a shockwave. Boom. Dodge and block it, and then she comes back to the ground, and you have even more time to sandbag her because she has... this is probably the longest recovery Brigid has in the long term during the whole battle. Now, let's get back to Brigid's one-hit KO Winged Strike. This is her second KO, and she does it only at the third phase, which replaces the Piercing Sword KO. Let's have a closer look at it. Right over here. Now, if you remember what I talked about, the green winged ambush, the one that shatters your armor, it's pretty much the same. So, and there are two things that can happen. There are two outcomes how you can dodge this particular KO. So she appears, she's going to be stuck in the air for just a moment. Right over here, you can see it. Whenever you are the target, you can either dodge forward, which I usually don't. I dodge to the right. So you can either dodge forward or to the right, and that's it. It's really quite easy to do. But if you get hit by this, you're going to prompt a KO scene where you're going to get annihilated by Brigid and you're going to be incapacitated. So always keep in mind, whenever you are the target and she appears in front of you, dodge either forward or to the right, and you'll be safe. The tricky thing about the KO in the party play is the fact that you never know who she's going to target. So you have to... it depends on who she's targeting, and after after you figured who is that, you have to decide where you have to dodge. Because if the target that she's targeting is to the right from you, it means that you will probably have to dodge either backwards or, even better, dodge to the left to make sure you don't get hit. And this is pretty much about the whole KO thing. It's really not that hard to to dodge. You just have to react to it whenever she teleports and she appears. Just react, and you will be safe from this thing. The winged ambush, green one, just like the winged strike, the KO one. Right over here, you can see she did 2 patterns back to back, and she gains Unbearable Heat aura around her. So watch out for it. Keep in mind that after certain patterns, she gains this aura, and if you get hit by it, you're gonna get debuffed. The Blazing Assault might be really tricky because it tracks the person that it's coming, so it chases the person that Brigid is initially targeting. So whenever someone is in front of Brigid, you might get hit by these explosions. At this particular pattern right over here, after this one, she tosses her sword into the ground. That's 1 hit, right? And then crashes down. That's another hit, and starts a little combo with a flaming sword. Watch out for it. And just make sure you don't get hit by that thing. Don't get hit by the flaming sword, don't get hit by the multi-hits. Everything... If I would pick all the annoying things in Brigid, one of them would be the multi-hits during certain combos. Because even tiniest disturbance in the connection might lead to the multi-hits. And if I remember correctly, in the future update, KR already got it, Korean servers already got it. They're going to fix the multi-hits. So it's going to be way easier to deal with all that. But for now, this is the most annoying thing that you can encounter in Brigid, the multi-hits. Because no matter what armor you're sporting, you can't survive 7-8 hits in just a 0.1 second time frame. It's impossible. You're just taking millions of damage. The other annoying thing that I would say is Brigid's 1-hit KO piercing sword that she does on the second phase. Because of the hitbox, and whenever she does it, people are just scattering around. And as I said, before she does the hit, the lunge, when she dashes, she tracks the person, right? So the chances that you might get caught because she's going to be like wiggling around, just turning around before she starts flying, and you might get in the way and get KO'd, and it sucks. It really sucks. And lastly, one of the last patterns that I wanted to talk about is called the Combustion Combo. And this is what I was just talking about right over here, and people die a lot to this, including myself. Let's look into the Combustion Combo right here. So, preparation, right? She lifts her sword and starts doing the blazing attacks, the flaming sword attacks, that leaves a debuff if you don't dodge them or block them. And then she leaps into the air, sends a shockwave, and after a small delay, if you're close to Brigid, she sends these 4 shockwaves different directions. If you're standing in melee, you might get hit by all the shockwaves. And this is why I called it a combustion combo, because it literally just combusts you and leaves you dead right away. So watch out for it. Make sure you don't... during this particular pattern, you are ready to, to react, to dodge, and to block. Just like in the combustion combo, right over here, whenever she charges and crashes down after a leap, she crashes down. She sends these shockwaves as well. You can actually put this into like we can actually call that a combustion combo version 2, because the amount of shockwaves are multiple at the end of the combo. Boom, right over here. And if you're in melee and you get caught, you might get multiple headed, and as I said, the less defense you have, or actually, it doesn't really matter how much defense you have. The chances that you're gonna get one-shotted or life flare from that are quite high. And Rain of Fire, let's look at the Rain of Fire in the real time. Once again, as I said, you can send back Brigid while she's preparing for this particular pattern. Then she leaps 4 seconds. I go to the 12 o'clock, I count 4 seconds, and this is my first dodge. 2 explosions, a little delay, dodge. 2 explosions, a little delay, dodge. And that's 9 times. 9 times. Just don't rush it towards, wait for her to come back. I think I was quite impatient here at the end. No, actually, that was probably the other time. But in one of the things that I did, one of the Rain of Fires, I grew impatient, and so I started rushing towards the middle, and there was like an extra explosion that caught me, and I received quite some damage because these are red attacks. You can't block or dodge them at all. And this is pretty much it when it comes to Brigid attacks. One of the last things that I wanted to talk about was the Meteor Strike once again. At the last phase, she actually does 4 meteors. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then she crashes down and does the spin at the end. So many of her attacks, as I said, the further you go into the battle, the more complicated it becomes. All these attacks, she becomes super fast at last phase, and almost no recovery in between the patterns. So it's all about the reaction, the timing here, and you have to be really, play it safe. Keep in mind all the patterns that we discussed, and continue DPSing Brigid until you deplete her health to 1 bar, and once she is at 1 bar, she's going to be defeated. She's instantly going to go into the tired animation. The battle is over. And this is it. That's everything you need to know about Brigid. Tempering the Sword Redeemer battle. As I always said it in my previous Redeemer guides, Redeemers are hard and challenging raid battles. So it's only natural to die there and to gather your experience and try to get better and better and better. Don't get discouraged if you die. Eventually, you'll be surprised that you're going to start cracking up all these attacks, all the special attacks, all the KOs, and you're going to be pretty good at this battle. This was Legendarma TV. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button if you like these kind of videos, these guides. I really appreciate all your support. This is really one hell of a ride. And stay safe. See you next time. Love you.